shakalaka, what is going on, everybody? Randall here from Crypto Love, and today we are going to talk about the Bitcoin apocalypse. The one thing that's going on that could potentially cause Bitcoin and the entire cryptocurrency market to collapse. We'll be talking about all of that right after a message from our sponsor. Now, obviously what I am talking about here is the Bitfinex scandal. I've talked about it a lot this week because really there's nothing else in the news, and this is potentially one of the largest things that has gone on in cryptocurrency since Mt. Gox, or maybe since, December 2017 when the market started tanking. Other than that, this is probably one of the largest things going on there, so we'll talk about that right before we do. Just taking a look at the markets today, overall market cap up a little bit to $170 billion. Bitcoin dominance soaring 56.6%. And I think a big reason for that is because people are cashing out their Tether, putting it into Bitcoin because they are scared, as I would be too. Right now, Bitcoin at 54.32, Ethereum at 160, and XRP at 30 cents. The big gainers for today, TTC Protocol, iExec, and ELF, the big losers, Crowd Machine, Dent, and Populous. Now, when we take a look at the charts of Bitcoin, what is going on now? I've been saying it for like a week or maybe more, that I think the price of Bitcoin is going to go down. I think price is going to tank because what we have here, this gray line that you see, that is the 50 weekly moving average. The yellow line, the 200 weekly moving average. Well, it doesn't seem like Bitcoin can break above this 50 weekly moving average. And in fact, in 2015, it hit this at the same day it had a golden cross, which just happened again this year, and then the price shot down. But also what we have forming here is a little head and shoulders. Okay, head and shoulders is generally a bearish trend. So after that, price comes down. There's also some other things I've been talking about as to why the price could be coming down. So all of those, it looks like we're coming up to see if we can break through this 50 weekly moving average. If we don't, yeah, price could potentially head down. Definitely could head down. The one thing that should be worth noting, so MACD on this chart, which is the chart that I'm following because this is Brave New Coin Liquid Index, MACD still saying hold a stable coin, obviously not Tether, maybe like True USD, something differently. But if we take a look, even in Bloomberg, they're printing Bitcoin is trading at a $300 premium on exchange accused of mischief. Yeah, and if you take a look at Bitcoin on Bitfinex, you can see the chart looks a lot different. Okay, on here it has broken through the 50 weekly moving average. And also, if you take a look here, the MACD looks like it's about to cross, but I'm not following that one. I'm not following that one because I'm not following anything other than the news about what's going on with Bitfinex. So there's been a lot in the news with Bitfinex recently. Right now, the whales pull $243 million in Bitcoin and crypto from Bitfinex. You can see down here a lot of transactions going on. These are some of the biggest. 12.8 million of Bitcoin transferred to an unknown wallet, 18.5 million of EOS transferred to an unknown wallet, 5.5 million of Bitcoin, Ether, all of those. People are just transferring. I mean, basically, it's a bank run. Everybody's trying to get everything out of Bitfinex while they can. And also, recently in the news since I last reported on it, Tether lawyer admits stablecoin now 74% backed by cash and equivalents. So, better than the Fed. The Fed's only like 1% backed, but 74% is still not the 100% that they promised previously. And so this gives people a bit of a scare along with the scandal, the fraud, the different things like that that's been going on with Bitfinex. So also in the news, the Fed just recently seized missing $850 million and arrests were made. Basically, part of Bitfinex's missing $850 million is now in the hands of the U.S. Department of Justice. Meanwhile, the controversial businessman was arrested for falsely setting up accounts so that exchanges, including Bitfinex, based on claims in the indictment, skirt bank rules and law. Tax evasion's bad. That's not going to pan out well. Even though it is a Hong Kong-based company, I don't think it's going to do well. Now, all this stuff together, I mean, there's a whole bunch going on with Bitfinex. You could keep yourself busy all day looking at all this stuff. But really, for me, it's something that's opening my eyes because this is huge. I don't think people are talking about it enough. This is potentially huge. Like Do you remember when Mt. Gox warned everyone to withdraw their crypto before they permanently stopped all withdrawals? Me neither, because they didn't. And you know what? Bitfinex is going to do the same thing, and they could potentially stop withdrawals. They've said previously that they may need to stop withdrawals because there is a run on the banks. I mean, if you take a look back at this article, people are pulling out tons and tons, $243 million already. And what happens if they don't have enough to cover that? Well, they'll shut down withdrawals, and then what happens? Madness. People go freaking crazy. And that could definitely affect Bitcoin and the rest of cryptocurrencies. Now, currently, the price of Bitcoin is up. As we've seen, the price of Bitcoin has soared a little bit, keeps going up. This could potentially be because people are just selling Tether, liquidating their Tether, buying Bitcoin, and then getting the F off the exchange, putting it in cold storage or something like that. But, I did want to bring up one more point. I know maybe I seem like I'm very enthusiastic about this because this is potentially huge, but you know what? You remember what happened right after Mt. Gox collapsed? Huge cryptocurrency market collapse. You remember what happened when something else that was too big to fail had a big collapse back in 2008? The whole entire stock market crashed. There was a huge recession. So this is something that is potentially huge. And there's this dude over here on TradingView, Mr. Renev, who says it's worse than wash trading Ponzi collapse, and he predicts a sub-$1,000 Bitcoin, as you can see in his chart right here. Now he goes through and takes a look at the timeline of Quadriga CX and also Mt. Gox, and then he also takes a look at what's been going on with Bitfinex. So if you want to, you can read through those, go and have a look at them. But what I wanted to point out here is that on a logarithmic scale, he's taking a look and he's saying, hey, we had this peak back in December of 2017 all the way down to the bottom, which, you know, some people say 95% chance is the bottom. But if we take and put some Fibonacci levels on that, well, the Fibonacci extension, the 1.618 level, is right at $1,000. And it may not stop there because guess what? If Bitcoin goes down to $1,000, people are going to lose their shit. Like, they're going to freaking lose it. Everybody's going to sell. They're going to be like, oh my gosh, the sky is falling. And then it'll probably go down much further. Now, do I think that this is actually a likely scenario? No. Possible, certainly. Possible, certainly. Do I think it's likely? No, because a few things. I think, one, people have fair warning. So anybody who's actually paying attention is probably getting the F off of Bitfinex. Or at least they're willing to assume the risk. Also, you know, Bitfinex isn't the entire market. It may be a little bit too big to fail. We'll kind of have to see how this whole thing pans out. But there's a lot of other exchanges out there. There's a lot of other cryptocurrency in different places. And it turns out, I don't have the graph right here, but I looked at Bitfinex, and the amount of Bitcoin that they hold, I was looking on the Bitcoin rich list, is less than 1% of the total Bitcoin in existence. So it's not that large of an amount. The big thing from this, if Bitfinex does collapse and Tether potentially collapses, is actually the Tether. Because Tether is used by a lot of different exchanges. It kind of is like the Federal Reserve for cryptocurrencies. And that, if that collapses, that could potentially be big. So hopefully people will take this warning. They'll get out now. What do I foresee happening? Well, I mean, it's no news. It shouldn't be news to any of you. But like I've been saying, there's a lot of things that look like the price is going to come down. I mean, every time we have a Tether printing, which happened at these arrow marks, price comes down after that. Also, we have a head and shoulders forming here, potentially. That's a bearish signal, so price will come down because of that. Also, we're coming up to the 50 weekly moving average, which we may bounce down. So all those things, yeah, I think the price will come down. How far to $1,000? Unlikely. Why? Because of this yellow line here. This is a 200 weekly moving average. Bitcoin in its entire existence has never broken below it to the downside. So I think it would be extremely unlikely. It would be like betting that Tom Brady wouldn't win the Super Bowl yet again. So that's all the news for today. I just want to bring that one. There's no news other than what's going on with Tether. This is absolutely crazy. Like, I urge you guys, not financial advice, but I urge you, get rid of your Tether. Get off Bitfinex. It's scary. Not financial advice, though. Guys, make sure you check out the Monarch wallet, and then I will see you in an episode tomorrow. Peace.